Right, hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. This is where I talk about random topics while I drive to work. There's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do swear and I do talk about sensitive topics, so if you don't want to hear about it, absolutely change the channel because I'm not going to fucking get you into it. This is my first official day of work this term, so I'm excited. So I've only got 30 minutes to get there, so I'm going to be gunning it. Yes, right. Well, the topic for today is, mind the glare, is braking. And I'm talking about personal braking. I'm not talking about, braking sharply in a car or breaking someone's toys. Weird. I never did that. People are so afraid of, breaking themselves down, I would say. Because I think it's because they don't know what's coming afterwards, basically. It's the fear of the unknown. Sometimes you get forced into it. If you're looking at it in esoteric terms, because I do tarot. I do. I'm weird that way. I like it. Some people read the Bible. Some people consult the cards. Some people look at the crystal balls. Some people just watch the TV. But the way I kind of sort things out in my brain is I sit there and I play with the tarot cards. So, if you're looking at it's the Tower card mainly. Is in tarot is the sudden change which you don't see coming, which kind of obliterates your entire existence. I've had quite a few of those, so I'm not afraid of them anymore. I actually quite like it. I'm not afraid of those at all anymore. It's just like another day at work. But people are afraid of it because it shakes up everything they've ever known, everything they've ever built. My biggest terror, I think, was when I got separated and divorced. Because that was my everything. I built my entire life around it, just like Fleetwood Mac's Landslide song. I had rather stupidly invested everything in my marriage and who I was with, and that backfired. And we all know that if you listen to the other podcasts. So I had to rebuild. Now the flip side of the Tower card is that it is rebirth. It's like the Death card as well. People are afraid of the Death card. That's just an ending. It's just another form of saying ending. Tower card is where everything gets obliterated. Death card is where everything ends. It's not a problem because the flip side of that is rebirth, regrowth, in kind of karmic terms and cycles. People are terrified of having to start again. And it's so weird because this time you get a chance to have a say in what you actually want to be and what you want to do. So I don't really see a problem with that. I knew that when I was married, for example, that's just one instance where I faced the Tower, I wasn't myself. I wasn't who I was. I didn't really have a say in anything that was going on. I wasn't my authentic self. Because I had no identity. I'd customized myself to exist within this particular context and to hell with whatever I really wanted. For example, roller coasters. I fucking hate roller coasters. But I went with it. I don't know why I did. Traumatic experiences. But he wanted to do it, so we didn't, and I sacrificed myself thinking it will make him happy, and didn't make me happy, but it made him happy, so, it's crossing a boundary and self-sabotage in itself, so I shouldn't have done that, really. I should have just said no, but I had real problems with self-esteem and sticking up for myself. So when that Tower hit, I was forced to stick up for myself and rebuild myself, and what do I want, and what do I need out of this, and what am I willing to accept this time? And it was more of a case of, having my entire existence just ripped out of my hands and having to reassess. And what do I want and what do I need? It's not a problem. I mean, you do it enough times. It's like riding a bike. You fall off the bike once. You ride enough times, you're going to get used to A, falling off, and B, just picking up your balance and carrying on. It's just one of those things. But at first, maybe you're terrified of even getting on the fucking bike. For example, when I was getting my driver's license, now I failed my test quite a few times. I actually had to go out into the fucking country/bush to get my license. I think it was like the 9th test or something like that, because I'm not coordinated. That was one of them. I have trouble retaining information, like some things. I have to go over things. I have trouble watching movies and remembering details. I have to watch movies like quite a few times to remember shit, and that's part of autism, part of PDS, it's part of everything. It's just one of those things. So you'll find me watching like Sleepless in Seattle or fucking not The Notebook, I hate that movie. But you know, like movies like repeatedly, because I'm just trying to get it stuck, and when it is stuck, then I'm going, oh, okay, I like this experience, so I'm reliving it for the billionth time. So yeah, okay, all right. So I stick to my own little routines and stuff. But getting my license took about 9 times. I'm not even joking. That's ridiculous, isn't it? I had to go out bush because the people in the driver's license in my hometown knew me too well. It's like, oh shit, this one again. It's like, hi. So I didn't have a problem, and I'm fine with failure because I'm used to it by now. It's like, you get used to just fucking things up, and you just keep trying because you know there's another chance, there's another chance, another chance, another chance. Some things there's another chance. Some things there are not another chances. Like infidelity. There's no other chances. You don't fuck up. That was a common sense one. But things like driver's licenses. Like I started getting my bike license. I would definitely try and do that again. I got all the way up to doing 50 in 5th gear. I was so proud of myself. And then I started having panic attacks. So on this little 250cc, I'm like, the little blue tick. But I was so excited. I was like, yeah. And then everything collapsed, and I went, oh, I'm gonna have to stop this for a while because my brain just wasn't with it. And it takes me a bit longer when it comes to tacit knowledge, physical things too. It takes me a bit longer to pick it up because my coordination's not right, and that's ASD, and I need to figure it out and stop overthinking, and I need to get it right. Plus there's that perfectionist streak, so I have to get it right. And it's a nightmare. So when I pick something up, I need to stop and start. I need to go, okay, what's this bit? All right, let me just get the hang of the bit. And then I'll come back and have a look at another bit. And then I'll come back and have a look at another bit. And it will eventually get done. But some people can sit through, like the bike guy that was teaching me to ride a motorbike. He was just like, okay, this lesson we're doing this, next lesson we're doing that, next I'm going, wait a minute, I haven't got that yet. Let me just get that. And it's going to take a couple of weeks for me to get that. Then we can move on to the next bit. He's like, nah, just fuck it, go for it. I'm like, you don't know how fucked up this is for me. Just let me hang on. Just hang on. But he was excited about me getting it. He's like this older dude, father figure kind of thing. He's like, because I was doing it for a silly reason. I was doing it because my ex-husband said that I wasn't allowed to. So me being me, my stubborn ass, said, fuck it, I will. And I will in spades. So I'm like, right, I'm separated, I'm divorced, get that fucking bike license. Like, yeah, because I love bikes. I do, and even to this day I love going to like bike conventions, car conventions, because they're just cool to look at. Even if I can't ride them, I'd still try and fucking collect them or something. They're nice. But it's all shiny and the paint jobs sometimes. But I really wanted to stick it to it. It was a bit of a petty reason to do it though, and my panic attacks kicked in, so it wasn't a good thing. I should have thought about that more rather than getting emotionally invested in it. But I do want to get my bike license, so when my brain's settled down a bit more, I'd like to go for it again. But again, I gotta wait because I'm working on other projects. But yeah, I was not worried about failing, and I didn't feel particularly bad when I said, okay, this is doing my brain in a bit, I'm going to have to pause for a bit. So, and that was a tower moment for me, because I was like, adamant, I'm going to get this fucking bike. A little bit of the Aries in me, because like when I said it, I'm fucking doing it. It's okay to stop and start and to fail and to break. There's nothing wrong with breaking. Sometimes you got to break shit down just to make it other new better. When I left my marriage, I had no concept of who I was. Now I at least have a head start. I know what I want, what I will and won't accept. And it turns out what I was before in my marriage, and when I actually followed my own sort of, North Star, I'm actually better off. So it's like, rather than following his orders, I follow mine and actually get somewhere. It's like, so that was eye-opening actually. So you always got to give it a try, but most people, I say most people, but some people are afraid to even try it because it's the unfamiliar. I mean, if you've invested God knows how many years, like I was with him 16 years, I knew him for 10 years before I married him. I thought I knew what was happening. I thought I knew who he was. I'm like, okay, this is a guy I'll marry, okay? And then when we're really old and farty, I'll die next to him. Probably from farts, but you know. Actually, I don't know. Protein. No, we're not going there today. But, you know, I thought this was the guy. And I didn't see anything outside of it because I didn't want to see anything outside of it. That was unfamiliar, it was a little bit scary. He told me who I was, what I was, and all that thing, and that was okay for me at the time because I had low self-esteem and I didn't want to stick up for myself. I didn't want to rock the boat. But the reality was, he was not my match. He's not the person I thought he was. I put him on a pedestal and I created this life around this image of this guy I thought he was, and when it came to the crunch, and he gives me an ultimatum about, you have to have an open marriage, otherwise I'm leaving you. That hit something for me. That was a moral thing. It's like I left that marriage on moral grounds. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you are, but you're not who I made you up in my head to be, so bye. And I couldn't imagine myself living in those circumstances where someone could just bring someone home and have sex with them and I'd have to be fine with it. I'm like, no, that's not who I am. I knew for a fact, the core, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. I could never accept that. I would never do that to someone. Why would I accept it? And I assumed, like, he thought at the time that maybe I was that hooked on him or trauma bonded to a certain degree that I would just go with it because, you know, if you love me, you'll go with it. It's like, well, actually, I loved you at the time. I did. I don't now. But I'm not putting up with that shit, fuckhead. But, you know, it's like, no. Are you serious? And the thing that was running through my mind at the time was you know, what's that person in Greek mythology that flew too close to the sun? I'm sitting there going, I've tolerated your shit this long. I've brushed a lot of shit under the rug. This is the point where you flew too close to the sun. It's like, no, your wings are melted. You can just fucking drop for all I care. And I was angry. I was ready to divorce him on the day I left. I'm like, this is wrong. And I'm so, to my core, sure this is wrong. And I don't stick up for myself a lot. So to my core, I know in my blood and my bones, this is the fucking wrong. It would be wrong to stay. It would be wrong to stay and see if I can, you know, take it or, you know, muck it out. So fuck this, I left. And I left with the shirt on my back and a bag, maybe. I can't remember. And I went to my brother's house and I arrived to my brother's house bawling my eyes out and just having the biggest fucking crisis of my entire existence at the time because I didn't know anything better or different. I fucking Fleetwood Mac set me up for all that. Go and look at the lyrics of Landslide. It's so fucking accurate. Sons of bitches, they know too much. They're addling the ether. I know they're in there. They know so much. But that's why music's created. It's just, you know, it's a translation of the ether. So that's why people get addicted to it. So you get songs stuck in your heads because the ether's traveling in and out of your brain. That's why you get like fucking commercials in your head so easily. Fucking. Anyway, my life is a series of pop culture references. It's really fucked up. I don't know. Maybe autistic people are closer to the ether than we know about. It's like, they're weird. It's like, yeah, but they're weird for a reason. They're not blocking out any weird shit. They haven't got the social stuff to do it. But, you know, you just adopt everything. But, you know, it was okay to break in that instance. And I've done it again since with my ex-boyfriend. It was okay to break everything up there the last time I left. Because I knew whatever we were looking into facing, where we were heading into, it wasn't right. I didn't like it. I didn't feel this was productive for my future. It definitely was on my life path, on my spiritual path. I knew that shit. I'm going, this is just toxic as fuck. So I'm like, I'm okay with this breaking. I was like, I don't know what he expected me to do to put up with that shit. I'm sitting there going, you are looking at the wrong girl and assuming that I will do the same thing as the other ones and stay and tolerate that shit. It's like, no. Honestly, I think he needs to go back to his ex-girlfriend, the one that was before me. Like, I was number 9. There's a sign. It's like, red flag. It's like, which number are you? 9. Has he ever called you by your name while he was with you? 2.5 years on and off. Did he ever call you by your name? Ever? Does he even remember your name? It's like, no, I was just number 9, I bet. But yeah, he had no interest in developing any kind of relationship or intimacy with you. He doesn't even remember your name. He's just happy you're here and supplying pints and food, sex. So yeah, he didn't bother. And I sat there and I think, do I just want to be like a... I don't want to be like some convenient hole with a cash flow, you know. I wanted the long-term relationship. I wanted to be married again, because that to me was the epitome of the in-depth relationship. Now I recognize that, you know, nothing really changes. It's a piece of paper. It's the actual connection you make with someone. And even then it was a one-sided connection. If it's one-sided, then it's not even a connection. Like, my ex-husband didn't believe in marriage. That was one of his statements on the way out. I was like, I don't believe in marriage, I don't believe in monogamy, and I want an open relationship. I'm like, oh? What? You couldn't tell me this? It was a month after our 6-year anniversary. I'm like, you couldn't tell me this 6 years ago? You fucking coward. But yeah, it blew me, because, you know, it was like I had this image of who he was and what he was about in my head, and then suddenly it appeared that he just like clicked, and you're like, the fuck are you? I don't even resonate with you now. I don't understand you. I can't recognize you. But it was counterproductive, and I knew, to me it was immoral. To someone else it might be fine to have an open relationship. I'm not about that. To me that's just paper hoarding, like people hoarding. And you remember what happened with the toilet paper in lockdown. It's like everybody cracked the shits about that. I liken that to, because they don't see them as people, they see them as objects, and toilet paper is objects. So, you know, if you're hoarding toilet paper, you're, you know, relating it to the you know, the sex partners you're having. You're just hoarding those. It's just objectifying people, because there's no emotional connection anymore. You're just like, if this one breaks, I'll just get another one. If this one gets boring, I'll grab another one. And I think that's part of the throwaway consumer society we live in. People don't value other people anymore. They become very selfish and very throwaway. And I'm not saying that you should stay with someone who's completely fucking toxic, but if you're they are examining those traits of just not valuing you, fucking around, belittling you, all these kinds of horrible things that people do because they're just so self-absorbed and self-centered, then there's no point staying with them, because they're not there to build, they're there to take. My ex-boyfriend was the void. He never put into anything, like the relationship, emotionally, financially, just never put in. There was a love bombing section at the front of the relationship at the start, which lasted about a month, 2 months, and only lasted about 2 months because I only saw him on Sundays. So that had got stretched out. So I'm like, okay, so yeah. So we'll see where this goes, because that was his thing. I don't like labels, we'll see where this goes. Even though we're having sex and doing all the girlfriend, boyfriend stuff, just like, I don't like labels. It's like, good. Then technically we were never together, bitch. That's great, okay. You're an idiot. Fucking idiot. But, you know, I didn't mind breaking that down, because technically it never existed. Like, my marriage technically never existed because he didn't believe in marriage. So you can't be married to someone who doesn't believe in marriage. It takes two to tango on that one. It was just weird that he carried it on for 6 years. Like, why don't you just be honest? And there were hints and signs of it growing up. I remember when we were very young, like in 20 years old, 21, 22, I was finding like bags of clothes, girls' clothes, worn, and you can tell when they're worn, particularly the underwear, in the back of his car. And I'm sitting, and I asked him, where's this from? And he said it was from his brother. I'm going, why would your brother borrow your car and leave a bag of clothes in the back? And it didn't ring true, and I didn't want to believe that it could be anything like infidelity at the time. But then you look back and you go, there were signs, and I didn't see them, and I didn't want to see them because I was afraid of breaking down, and I was very young at the time, and I'm like a late bloomer. I just didn't have the mental capacity to deal with that kind of shit in my early 20s. Plus I had anxious attachment because I had low self-esteem thanks to my parents. So it was a nightmare. It was a complete clusterfuck of attachment. I couldn't see myself in any other existence besides with him and whatever he wanted to do. And if we had to move in with his dad because, you know, we lost rent or we lost the house, or if we had to live in a van or some shit like that, we were going to do it because I was with him and it's great. And then you look back at him, you know, because I'm 38 now. I'm nearly 40. You look back at him and you go, I can't believe I tolerated that shit. That is some bullshit. But it's only because, you know, you achieve so much after you're broken. And some people spiral, I've got to be honest. Some people spiral into oblivion and start taking drugs, doing all kinds of horrible things, sleeping around. I mean, there's this meme going around at the moment where it's like someone breaks up and then 4 people in the room turn up. One's the slut era, one's the anger, one's the depression, and, you know, it's like, I didn't get the slut era. I got the, oh fuck, I'm in debt, I need to recover person, which was a really good worker. I was alright with that. She's a really hard worker, I love her. I still use her, she's great. But the slut era didn't exist, and by the time I got to my ex-boyfriend, this was like nearly 2 years after my separation, just as my divorce was getting finalized. And, you know, I was thinking relationship. He suggested fuck buddies, and to be honest, yes, I did agree with it for like a month before I thought, I can't do this, I'm not this person, I would like an actual relationship. And he said, yes, so I'll try and be monogamous. Try and be monogamous. That's not be monogamous, that's I will if I can, but fuck it. Fuck it. I'm gonna do me. And that was his thing the whole fucking time. That's why we kept breaking up. He kept doing him. And I'm sitting there going, him is him alone. In this situationship is not a relationship. A relationship is 2 people. In my book, some people it's 4. But in me it's 2. And you both put in, you both commit, and you get on with it, and you get on the fucking job. But what he wanted was all the perks of a relationship without the actual work, without the actual intimacy or the commitment, or, you know, telling people that we're together, or, you know, and you sit there and think, you're not even in this fucking thing. This never got off the ground. I don't mind demolishing this shit as it is, because it is a shit investment. I mean, I'm not mixing shit in with my cake and hoping for a not shit cake. It's gonna be fucked if we keep this going. And nobody wants to eat shit cake. I use a lot of poo analogy. It's weird. I work with kids. They love the poo jokes. But, you know, there's no point investing something that's clearly not gonna fucking work, because you can't get over your own sense of self-worth, or lack of self-worth in my case, and your own stubbornness. I mean, it does take a lot of humility to admit that you were wrong, that maybe this person that you married wasn't the one, that maybe, you know, I made a mistake, and maybe I put them on a pedestal and worshipped them a little too hard, and now I'm stuck with the fucker. So it happens, and it's okay, but we are human, and error is part of our makeup. That's how we learn, that's how we build resilience, that's how we do all these kinds of things that are wonderful and lead towards growth. There's nothing wrong with breaking. If you have to break yourself and break it down to reform, that's what it is. It's good. If you break yourself, you self-sabotage and just spiral out into shit existence, that's probably not the best way to go, because it doesn't do anything well. But if you have to break something down to rebuild it better, perfectly fine. Not a problem. But again, people are just too afraid to try. And it gets to the point, you know, where the universe intervenes and says, well, you're not taking the subtle hints, and I've sent all the, you know, the nice light worker people to try and convince you. Now I'm going to send the dark workers. Get on your knees, bitch. And it's not just dark workers, these dark people that'll fuck you up, cheat on you, lie to you, betray you. And sometimes they're disguised as light workers too, which is horrible. You get the light workers, you get the light dark workers, which look and act like nice people but will knife you in the back, you know, Caesar style. You get the dark light workers, which are personally my favorites, because they're like dark horses. They look all tough and mean on the outside, but really they're the nicest people. And you're going, why don't you look like you match? And then you get the dark workers, which are like the Jeffrey Dahmers of the motherfucking crew. All 4 have a purpose. There are anomalies, like this guy I knew called John, who was in my old social group. I don't know what he is, because to me on the inside he looks mercurial. He's like a silvery liquidy kind of thing, so he's obviously his own thing. But the yoga guy I was talking about in the last podcast, he's a dark light worker. He looks all rough and tough on the outside, but really he's soft on the inside. It's awesome. I like him dark. Anyway, we're not going there. But he was lovely. He's that, like, that statement, you can't judge a book by its cover, because instances like that, you just don't know. And it's not until you start interacting with them that you start thinking, oh, maybe this isn't the person, or maybe this person is bad for me. Even though they looked good on the surface, after the love bombing wears off, it's not great. And it's actually quite detrimental to my health, or my existence, you know, or my mental health and my life. And it's, you know, they're just draining my bank account and treating me like shit. So you've really got to have some kind of discernment with it. But if you finally decide to just cut that off and break it off and break it down, and it can be quite rewarding afterwards, because it's not meant to be there. Some people got the view of relationships where love is tolerating as much pain as possible from the other person. It's like, oh, I love them. Like Will Smith is a good example. The Jada chick, Jada. I mean, they've got kids and they've got a mortgage and all that kind of shit, and I think that's why he's staying, because she's gonna keep fucking around on him. But he assumes that, because I would assume this, because I could be wrong, if he keeps coming back to her despite her hurting him repeatedly, that shows that he loves her. It's like, that's not love, that's trauma bonding and codependence. It's saying, I'm not good enough to deserve anything better than someone who cheats on me. I'll just stay. It's like, no, because they don't love you. That's abuse. If they're willing to do things that they know will hurt you, and you'll keep running back because that's how you show love, then that's abuse. That's just manipulation and abuse. They take you for granted. You don't have to stay for that. That's a loophole. You're not going to get any kind of fucked up karma for that. You can leave. People are afraid of leaving because, oh, what if it's worse afterwards? It's like, no, because at least you don't have that asshole abusing you at the time present in your life. That was one of the first blessings I acknowledged when I left my ex-boyfriend, for example. Like, my life fell apart from the inside for me when I left my ex-husband. I didn't acknowledge any kind of blessings of not being stuck in that situation. To me, it was traumatic. But my ex-boyfriend, I looked at this and I went, I'm not getting cheated on. I'm not getting drunk all the time. I don't have any kind of druggies around me. I don't have to associate with a bunch of hoes because they're his friends. I live in a nice apartment because I went out and got it myself and I didn't rely on him. I'm saving my money a lot, like ridiculously. The amount we were spending on piss just to keep him happy, I saved. And I've put it into something else, and I'm pretty stoked about it. But, you know, I'm gonna, when it's done and dusted, I'll show you what it is. But, you know, there were so many perks to not staying, and those were my blessings. And I'm going, yeah, fuck yeah. So I was not afraid of leaving at that point. I kept trying to give him extra chances, because I'd always got a fucked up mental state. And I'm sitting there going, this is, if I just love him a little bit more, if I just keep forgiving him, if I keep trying again with this person, maybe it'll come right. And some fuckers don't want to. They gotta want to get right. And if they don't, then, you know, you're stuck with this asshole that goes through the same cycles, and I'm the type that enables them. I just enable him. I think I made his drinking worse, to be honest, because I'm like, I love giving stuff. I love giving gifts. And if I find, and I'm weird this way, and I think I get it from my parents, but if I find something that they like, I won't just get them one of it. You'll be getting that for like the next 10 years, en masse. It's like, say you like Ferrero Rochers, and I fucking love those. That is my go-to chocolate. But I'm the kind of person that you'll get one of those every day. It's like, you'll get a box of them every day. It's like, but you like these. Yeah, I don't like them every day. But you said you like these. And I was trying to, you know, I try to make, because, I don't know, maybe that's because I came out of a poly cycle growing up, or because I'm a Taurus, or, you know, if you're into that. Some people like, fuck off. I'm like, I keep an open mind, man. I don't know what's out there completely. I like to look at all bits and pieces. You never know. At the end, we won't know till the end, really, will we? But I like to keep an open mind. But, you know, I like to give gifts. I like to make sure people are happy and soft and fluffy, and they've got enough food, definitely, because I've had to steal food before to survive, and I didn't like it. And I don't want anyone else to have to go through that, and I've been homeless, so I want to give them a nice warm home and fluffy blankets and stuff. You know, all this kind of like homey stuff. to me, that's valuable. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be fucking Maseratis and fucking Rolexes. It's comfortable and it's warming, and I like that kind of thing. And I was trying to give him all this stuff, and I was trying to fill up the house full of nice things because, you know, I had affection for him. I was trying to build intimacy. I'm sitting there going, if he's happy, then maybe he'll be more open to committing. Maybe he'll be more open to showing any kind of emotion that isn't, you know, fake for the sake of getting laid. And it backfired because he just took it for granted. He's sitting there going, I'm just going to breadcrumb you. I'm going to trauma bond you, ignore you, put your text on red. I'm not going to label this. And you're going to keep running back because that's how it works. I have a feeling he's been doing that for a while now with girls. Or boys. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I know he's been doing it for about 20 years now. And I'm sitting there thinking, look, first of all you're doing is coming across as mean. Because you're not accepting that I'm doing nice things for you. There's a lack of gratitude here. And a very strong stink of arrogance. Because both of us came from a broke background. I have a strong feeling, right? So if someone, like, food is a currency of affection when you come from a broke background. You'll notice that people who grow up in poverty, as soon as they get money, they're gonna get fat. Or they're gonna get some ridiculous shit that they didn't have as a kid. Or, you know, they're gonna want to show that they've finally done something. Old money doesn't do that. They just exist and you know, go on ski holidays and shit. I hate the idea of ski holidays. I don't want to do that. It sounds horrible. Ugh. Can't we just go to a museum or something, or movies? But you know, it's got to be that show of, like, 3 minutes early. You know, I care about you. I want you to survive. Have some food. It's like, because I know what it is to steal food to survive. Have some fucking food. And I filled the house up with food and stuff like that, and I made sure everything was fluffy and warm, and I wanted it to be nice, and it was always clean, and you know, and I've talked about this kind of weird trauma response from having that fucked up background in my other podcast if you want to know. So you're gonna have to go hunt for that because I go on tangents, dude. But that's the way I show affection. I provide homes, and I've been building fucking nests and homes since I was a kid, man. I just want not like a big fucking mansion house, all that kind of shit. I just want a fluffy, comfortable home, and it's so Taurus to say it. And people look at you like, this is materialistic. It's like, no, actually, I can get all that shit on a bargain. I don't have to particularly go out and waste a shit ton of money to do it. You just got to be smart. Which is why I'm having so much fun with my current project of Spartanism and trying to remember what I used to do growing up, money-wise. But you know, it didn't work, and no matter how much sugar I poured on this, there's a song in that. I love that song. Anyway, it's on my gym list. Oh, I'm trying to remember who it was. It's not Def Leppard. Anyway, no matter how much sugar I poured on this, it never made it sweeter because he's a sour little void. And I kept pouring this stuff into it, and nothing was coming back because he just took it for granted. And sure, she likes me, so I deserve this. And he had this sense of entitlement where he didn't want to work or contribute or join in, and he was just taking all the benefits. He was skimming the cream off and fucking off. And when I wasn't doing something that was something he liked, like supplying him with piss or sex or food, or making him feel better about himself, he would go to the pub and find that attention somewhere else. And I'm sitting there thinking, why am I even fucking bothering at this point? There's no point. It's a waste of my resources. I could be giving it to someone who actually deserves it. And so I just pulled everything back. And when I left, I pulled back all my resources, my abundance, because I am at Empress level now. I hauled ass. I'm like, fuck you, I paid for this, I'm taking it with me. And I think he expected me to leave it with him, so I cleared the cupboards. I'm like, I paid for it, bitch. I took everything. I'm not giving this to you as a reward for you being an asshole. It's like, no, I don't feel sorry for you. I think you're a non-contributing prick. So I took everything that was mine and I paid for. I left all his shit there. If he didn't bother putting anything into the household, into anything, then fuck him. And besides, it was never a fucking relationship anyway, because he doesn't like labels. So, ew. But it's a piss take. And I didn't mind breaking that down because I'm like, I've put a whole shit ton of stuff in, and I know what I'm capable of, so I'm pretty proud of what I did, even with the constant kickback of every time I showed concern or wanted to give him something or look after him, it was constant, why are you doing that? It's like, you're right, let's go with that. Why am I doing this? Fuck it. And I didn't mind breaking that down because it wasn't worth keeping. It was never anything to begin with. It was the idea of, and I put him on a pedestal for 16 years now. This was a guy I had a candle for even when I was married. I have no candles now. I fucking hate both of them. Ex-husband and ex-boyfriend. There are no candles. Oh, maybe for the yoga guy. No, anyway. But he's got issues with his lifestyle going on that I just I don't know what's going on there. I'm not even going into it. But Christ knows where he is now anyway, so I'm not going there. It was interesting. But I have no problem breaking down shit that doesn't look like it's worth investing in anymore. I've got a little bit cutthroat in my old age because I know what I'm willing to contribute to a situation. I have no problem looking like the arsehole for breaking down stuff that doesn't work. I am a functionalist at heart. I may be a romantic, but I'm also a functionalist. If it's shit, I'm not fucking paying for shit. It's like, you ever watch that Carl, this comedian called Carl, he's Australian, he's got bald head. I've forgotten his name. Carl something. But he talks about going to a restaurant and cafe and ordering cake, and there's a lineup of cakes, and for some reason he always got the shit bit, like the end bit of the cake. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not paying for the shit bit. There's a whole skit on it. It's awesome. Carl Barron. Fucking hilarious comedian. He's funny. I love my ass off. But if you can find him on YouTube or Netflix, worth watching. But he talks about it, he's absolutely right. No one should have to settle for the shit bit because you want to be the nice person. And I've been a good girl my entire fucking life. I mean, I had it beaten into me as a child. You will be good, you will do the right thing, you'll get it right first time. If you listen to my other podcasts, you'll know what my parents' parenting methods are like. But at the same time, it's like there comes a point where you have to be the villain, even if it's, you're assuming from the inside you're being a villain by setting up boundaries and saying, no, I'm not doing this, it's fucked. Let it go. And at that point you can absolutely break shit. Break it down, smash it up, scorched earth policy. I have no problem with that. I'm not doing that. I burnt my marriage certificate and I broke, because we had, when I was married, we had tungsten rings. Do you know how fucking ugly tungsten rings are? But because my ex-husband wanted it, we had it. Big, clunky, heavy fucking... It looks like concrete. It's polished concrete. The only thing I could do was put a Celtic carving on it, to try and make it look pretty. I'm sitting there going, this is symbolic of our marriage because it is weighty, it is ugly, and I had to crush it to break it. It was not a case of a nice metal. I would have settled for silver. I mean, there's so much symbolism in the things we do every day. We just don't peg it until it's time to start, assessing whether it's worth it. But I had to crush that. I had fun in my divorce. I had fun in my divorce. I went on holiday. I went on 2 holidays. I crushed my wedding band. I fucking sold all his shit. I didn't sell all his shit. I had fun. I was not a happy lady, and I was showing it. In one way I was very happy because I had my freedom finally. Crushed the ring, burnt the marriage certificate, took myself out to dinner, went on holiday. I'm like, you're worth it, girl. Way worth it. And I actually built on that when I left because, if you spend your entire marriage or relationship carrying for 2, and I was at that point because he was only fuck all as a personal trainer for years, and he kept quitting his job or he kept moving around and dropped out the Navy, and it was all constantly me trying to catch the slack and try and keep it going and stuff like that because I'm a teacher and I've got a proper wage and it's a proper job. It was constantly just wiping his ass while he follows his dream, and I'm sitting there thinking, is his dreams going anywhere? Have you even planned for any of this, or you're just fucking winging it? No, I want to be a PT. It's like, it's not a job. Unless you are really good at it and you can get the people and business stuff, but he didn't even want it because I've got a business I've got a certificate in small business management. I know how to do it. offered to help. I run 3 online stores. I know what I'm doing. And I offered to help, and he's like, no, I don't want to help. It's like, fine, we'll do it your way. We're both suffering because you're doing it your way, but that's fine. So like, it's that kind of one-sided selfishness. So if you're willing to, you know, I was carrying for 2 in that. You know when you're pregnant and they say you're eating for 2? It's like, I was married and I was carrying for 2, financially, emotionally, because it was all about him. Anyway, and I had to make myself happy internally because I wasn't getting it from him really. But it was like having another child. But once you get outside of that, and I was afraid to leave, but once you actually get outside and you faced all the pain and the suffering, and because I did have pain and suffering, I wasn't ready to go. But you find how strong you are. You can carry for 2, and it gets easier. If it's just you've got to worry about money-wise, then you can call all the shots. You don't have to take any, you know, like, what do you want to do? You don't have to do that, you know. I was constantly asking, what did he want to do? Is it okay if I, you know, do you mind if I, and that's just like fucking trauma bonding. That's financial abuse, because my money, I earned it, and I wasn't allowed to spend it how I wanted to because I was constantly having to consult, is he okay? And if he said no, then it was no. It wasn't a case of compromise. It was, we can't do that, I don't want to do that. It was ridiculous, it was trapping. I felt horrible because I was doing all this work and I wasn't able to really celebrate. Besides like trips, I used to take trips. I used to just book the ticket and go. I'm like, you're not stopping me from traveling. I got Gypsy Heritage, man. You can't stop that. So you don't get to tell me, no you don't. It's like, I got grandma's on the other side, I'll fuck you up for that. It's like she's going. So that was like my one kind of, you know. But you find that you can financially, you have more time, you have more resources, you have more emotional balance. You don't have to constantly rely on someone else. There are so many benefits to just demolishing a shit experience, even though it's scary at the time, to rebuild it into something that's better. Now, right now, I'm pretty established. I have no problems. I'm happy to fight my own fights financially. I've got my own projects on the run. I've got no real problems. So when I'm looking for a partner next, and I am, because I like relationships. I'm, you know, a pretty long-term relationship chick. I'm now going to consider what they actually bother to bring to the table. And it sounds so cliche at this point because everyone's like, what are you bringing to the table? I was like, no, really? Because I've got shit to lose. And if you're here to fuck around and find out, we're going to find out pretty fucking early. You're not going to like it. And, you know, I'm the kind of person that I don't mind the guy taking the lead for a bit. I'm not a social person. Out on the outside, I don't mind them taking the lead and being the main runner in this team. I don't mind them being the quarterback or whatever it is. But if I have to take the reins after they fucked up, they better fucking keep running, because that shit is going to back up on them so fucking hard. It's like, you know, it's like, I am not here to bail you out at this age. We are too old. You need to grow the fuck up. But at the same time, on the other hand, you get a lot of people who get trapped in relationships because they've had kids or something, or they're stuck with a mortgage or something, and the house is just not selling. I mean, that's the problem I had with my ex-husband, is it took forever to sell the apartment we had because there was just no market for it. So as much as I wanted to get his name off the lease and stuff like that, I still had to unfortunately communicate with him about the fucking house, but I kept it strictly to the house. I was like, I don't want anything to do with you. What your life is, whoever you're fucking, I don't care. I don't want anything to do with you. And he would ask me, oh, how are you? I'm like, get away from me. It's nothing but the house. Don't talk to me. And you have to be a bit villainous, yes, by sticking up your boundaries and saying, no, I'm not going to be the nice girl this time, or the nice boy, because boys do it too. I say boys, I think men do it. Like my brother is a really nice guy, and if you've heard me go on tangents about how wonderful he is, because I do hero worship him even now, he's the kind that will take a lot of shit to keep the peace. I've seen it in, like, the past social group. There's one guy, the yoga guy. I feel he takes a lot of shit to keep the peace. I'm thinking, you don't have to, though. It's not, your self-worth is not in how much shit you can take from someone to keep the ball rolling. It's like, imagine if you're actually with someone who's willing to keep the ball rolling too. You know, it's like, in fact, it's now a competition, like a healthy competition. It's like, well, what are you doing? oh, okay, let's see if I can do that one better. And then you keep like bouncing off each other, and it's fun. It becomes like a game, not in a horrible kind of mean way, but you know, it's like let's improve together kind of thing. It's like my brother's the same way. His wife is passive aggressive, and she gets her way by whining. And I've looked at her and I've gone, I couldn't put up with that shit. I couldn't, because you know, if he hasn't done something or if she wants him to do something, you'll hear from the other end of the house, oh Joel. My brother's name is Joel. Joel, what are you doing? And there's a whinge in my back goes, first of all, why are you whinging? And second of all, why don't you just do it yourself? It's that big a problem. And he's not lazy. He is, because he grew up with 3 girls and a mum in a matriarchy, I should say. So the job gets done. It gets done. He has initiative. I know men are capable of initiative because he has it. Not a problem. That's why I was getting so pissed off when I had my exes who you know, like, what's it called? Weaponizing confidence. It's like, I'm going to do it wrong, so you do it for me, and then you won't ask me to do it again. And it's like going, kids do that. Kids do that, and they claim innocence because they're kids, and it's forgivable when they're kids, but you're a 40-year-old man. No, you're on your own. Fuck you. I mean, paired with the mindset, my mum didn't let us fail. There was no room to fail, so you had to get it right, and that's where my perfectionist streak comes from. I'm pissed off when I can't get stuff right. I know that's a trauma response, and I've tried to relax it, like in the last couple of years, because I know it's counterintuitive. You're allowed to fail. You're allowed to break. You're allowed to get things wrong. That's how we learn. That's how we adapt and overcome and improvise. Canadian Army. Canadians. But at the same time, it's like, you know, it's okay to break. You got to bear in mind what kind of circumstances you're in. Are they toxic circumstances where someone is feeding on you to pay them, knowing, or look after them emotionally, psychologically, knowing that you're the kind of person that will keep coming back because, you know, oh, they're just not well, or they're not healing, or they're not, they'll feed on that, and it's horrible, and you gotta break that, and that's okay to break. That's a loophole as well. You look like a bit of a dick doing it. Oh, they got mental issues. Like, we all got mental issues. No one is exempt from mental issues. It's the severity of the mental issues that's the problem. Some people have never had anything fucking done to them. God, nuts. Did you hear that? They've never had anything done to them in their life, and they still play the victim, and you sit there and think, no. You don't get to play the victim and have people come running. And it's a form of narcissism as well, because they get off on that attention that comes from people giving them nice things or treating them nicely, putting them on a pedestal which they haven't earned, because, you know, it's what they want, and you'll do it because you want to be the nice person as well. They play on your nice boy, nice girl persona, and we've all been conditioned, or most of us have been conditioned, to play the nice girl, nice boy part. But there's fuckers out there that exploit it, and sometimes you've got to put your balls, you know, right in their face and say, no, don't do that, it's disgusting. But you could try, you might get done for assault, but you know, decent exposure, I don't know. But you know, you just gotta stick up for yourself, and that's the hardest part, because you're afraid of looking like the asshole. Or you've got to leave and break down the situation, and that's ego as well. You've got to, you know, humble yourself and say, maybe I was wrong, and this isn't working, and it's okay for it not to work, because I've learned this is not the kind of person I want to be with, or these are not the circumstances that are for me, or this is not the lifestyle I should be chasing after, because it's detrimental to my mental health. There's a lot of that. You just got to assess where you are, look at your options, go 7 cups on it. What's working, what's not working. All my tarot readers out there are like, it's like, and is it going to be a devil situation where you're trapped in the prison of the mind and you feel like you have to stay because the circumstances are such? Or can you reverse that devil card and get out of there and get your freedom? I love tarot, it's so fun. Nothing like a metaphysical bitch slapped to someone's reality. I love it. Just fucking throw it out there. But you know, it's great. It's okay to break. It's okay to break as long as you're rebuilding afterwards in a better way, constructive way. There's no problem with that. I'm gonna have to leave it there because it's probably about 8:10 now, and I'm gonna be in my classroom. Yeah, they're opening the gates, so I'm gonna leave it there. I hope you guys have a fantastic Wednesday, Odin's Day, if you're into that. The Nordic stuff, that's my heritage. One of my heritage. Got Irish as well. It's going nuts. Keep coming out of nowhere, man. I am parked under a tree. Interesting. Anyway, have a fantastic Wednesday with 2 more days, and then it's the weekend, and I'll leave you there. Okay? Have a good one.